Ethan Tingler, front tire changer for the 3-car Austin Dillon. You're listening to Back of the Pack podcast on Fantasy Focus. Hell yeah.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 23 of the Back of the Pack podcast here on Fantasy Focus, brought to you by the Original Hooters. Post Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Mr. Kevin Harvick historically has done well there, and he took it home, so we whiffed there for the most part. Headed into the Blu-Emu Maximum Pain Relief 500 at Martinsville. That's a mouthful. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. We have Wednesday night racing under the lights. We've been talking about Martinsville at night for weeks here on the podcast and our live shows. I'm juiced. I cannot wait.
I was hoping that you would have led that into hey, Bucky, can you give me a prediction for the Blu-Emu Maximum Pain Relief 500? And I would
say that 5 times fast.
I would have simply said pain.
Not enough relief, too much pain, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of pain. I think that's a good forecast. You know, we saw a lot of beating and banging at Bristol. Martinsville is a similar track in the short track style, but it's much slower in average speed. So look for these guys to really use the bumper or the chrome horn, if you will, this week, tomorrow, Wednesday night.
Let's look back at that race there over the weekend. It was just the Kevin Harvick show.
Kevin Harvick show, man, through and through. So if you're paying close attention, at the middle of the race, you saw him fall back a bit. My projections were he was going to hit that little bit of adversity and not be able to recover.
Mm-hmm.
He and his team were prepared and knew what to do and what to throw at the car to really make it work. So, we whiffed on that one. I was fading Harvick hard this weekend just because so much of the public's money was on him. But again, he had a strong showing and he was able to battle the adversity we expected much better than we forecasted. So the race itself, Atlanta, I enjoy watching the race. And it's a very old school track. And it was good to see Harvick win and salute Senior at a very historic track for his team.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we knew historically he has done really well there, but, we don't get paid the big bucks to have the same opinion as everyone else, right? So we got to miss sometimes in terms of fading the guy that we think is going to win. But yeah, I mean, he proved us wrong. Absolutely. I mean, he pretty much dominated the entire race.
We should have known. We should have seen it coming the minute we saw the fresh new corn Busch Light that he had going. I mean, it was a corn can with Busch Light slapped all over it. And the minute I saw it, I was like, good grief. And Busch Light had the ultimate flex on everybody. They also went out there and sponsored the 14 car as well with the skin on that one. I mean, Busch Light, just what a day for Busch Light. A phenomenal accomplishment for those fine folks there.
Yeah, they're getting some publicity, aren't they? Especially on a Harvick car, up front, taking some W's. There's a lot of cases being cracked tonight and tomorrow of Busch beers for the NASCAR head.
Yeah. They have literally poured their entire marketing budget into the NASCAR series. I love it.
They have, and it's this is kind of off the beaten path of what we usually cover, but Elias is a data agency that covers a lot of activities in sports outside of the day-to-day sports activities, if you will. And what they do is they measure brand impact based on each driver. And Kevin Harvick, year after year, always scores the highest out of any driver for brand placement and mentioning his sponsors. And there's a reason why some of these big brands stick with Harvick, is because not only is he a great driver and a family man that represents the sport, he does well for the brands that support him and his teams.
Do you think they have an entire guest house built upon Busch Lights, like basic just 24 packs? Even obviously they need some variables in there, so maybe a 6 rack or some tall boys, maybe a chandelier, tall boys. Yeah, feels a little bit
definitely extra. The guest house and the pool house, definitely the foundations are laid with Busch Lights.
I know he has to have at least 4 Busch Light keg stools. Like you're sitting on a Busch Light keg.
Yeah, and you can tap them all and drink right out of them. And he has plenty more in the closet.
Correct.
Yes.
Big win there, though. I mean, I was impressed with just his stranglehold on it. He was just unthreatened for what seemed like 140 laps to close it out.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing, and we saw the Toyotas have strength throughout the race, something that we haven't seen a lot in the weeks before. So, when I saw Harvick falling there about midway, I was like, oh, here comes the Toyota show to steal the show. And again, we were wrong. So kudos to Harvick and team. They really put the full race together. It's something hard to do in NASCAR, and especially as we get further away from the COVID schedule and the COVID makeup. Expect a lot more comers and goers as they continue to mess with different tire packages, aero packages, and that's something that we'll talk about for Martinsville. A lot of new changes for this track. Not only is it under the lights for the first time scheduled, this is one of the first times we've run this race in the summer. So there are a lot of different factors that go into the race ahead, a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, I was going to say Atlanta was a little bit boring for me. As a somewhat novice fan, I am excited to have Wednesday night racing back. I hope that, if maybe we learn something, or when I say we, I mean NASCAR in general has learned something throughout this COVID and continuing to expand their fan base. I think maybe in the future, like maybe next year, every other week we do something on a Wednesday night, something like that to get people more engaged during the week, because I think it's nice. It breaks up the week, and I love racing under the lights. And I know this being a shorter track, or I believe it's the shortest track on the circuit, right? There's going to be a lot of action. It should be entertaining.
You got it. And everything that you're saying is really spot on. I expect more conversation around those schedule changes, because Wednesdays, it makes my day a little bit more exciting. And I know ever since I've moved to Chicago, and weekends have become even more valuable as we've progressed in our professional lives. It's like Sunday at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon is not the best time to sit on the couch for 4 or 5 hours. So I have found myself throwing the race on my phone and putting it in my headset and walking and watching. But on Wednesday, I'm 100% eyes peeled, sitting my butt on the couch watching the race. So and that's a longtime fan. I'll always find a way to watch the race, but when it's been happening on Sundays a lot more recently, I've found watching on the go. So Wednesdays really gives me the opportunity to disconnect and dive in.
Bucky,
what?
Wouldn't you just say, Bucky, that Wednesday beers just hit harder than Sunday beers?
No, I love Sunday beers. I'm going to say that as an unoccupied man, in terms of my heart, I have the ability to park my ass directly on that couch from 2 all the way until the race is over at 7:30. I will hang in there tight, and I will hang in there long, and you can't remove me. Sunday, I love sports on the weekend. It's kind of what I live for. The weeknight, I mean, depending on the work situation, like I just feel like, what time does it start? 7:30, 8?
7 Eastern
7.
time, yeah.
See, I got to squeeze in a whole bunch of shit now. I got to cook dinner. I got to exercise after work. I'll probably work until 5:45, 6. How am I going to get all these things done to plant myself in front of that television?
A liquid diet, Busch Light, baby.
That's it. The
well,
Harvick diet.
Calorically speaking, that would really help me. So it would, if I just don't do food and just do purely Busch Lights.
There you go.
98 calories per.
I love it.
So what did we miss anything else over the weekend? I know Bucky watched his first truck series on Saturday morning. I know you got a kick out of that. What else?
I purchased a video game. I purchased NASCAR Heat 4, and
this is the first time we've seen Bucky in days.
I seriously can't stop playing it. What a wonderfully crafted game. The career mode, while not perfect, is so straightforward and simple. I really appreciate it. I'm learning more about these tracks. I'm learning more about the decisions the drivers face, because my driver, Cliff Hamsteak III, is taking the truck series by storm right now. One back-to-back at Bristol, followed there by Canadian Tire, which is a nice little spread they got up there in Canada. It's wonderful. But I burned it to the ground, because that's what I did with those tires in the number 59 truck. She's painted neon green and black right now. She looks great.
Ooh.
That sounds awesome. I love to hear you into the game and seeing it from a bit of a different perspective. I remember playing those games in the late 90s and early 2000s on when EA Sports made the games. Back in the day when EA Sports made good games. And turning around, going backwards when we were kids, and having huge crashes. And I'm a huge video game nerd, and NASCAR is a special place in my heart for forever. One day I'll be a big guy, be a big boy rather, and buy a NASCAR racing sim rig for sure.
Oh yeah, there we go. Now we're talking.
Yep.
I'm
Upgrade.
thoroughly enjoying the transformation from Bucky to Buck, as we talked about last week, as he becomes a full-fledged NASCAR fan. It's been great to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this takes you, Buck.
I think I'm one of many people that have found themselves where they are. Thankfully, I have a friend in Freeman who can guide me through the process, answer my questions, and I just learn more and more each week. So it's just like when I first fell in love with English soccer. You just buy in and you go all into it. And that's how I feel about NASCAR right now. Like I said it when I first appeared, I've always loved the sport, but never to the point where like I was dialed in every single time. And that transition is feeling really, really good, boys.
Hey, well, you don't need any help. I think you sent us the picture of Natalie Decker sending you some compliments and saying you guys are going fishing later in the week. So that's you're making big moves on the eNASCAR circuit.
I'll blow it. I'll blow it on the fishing trip. I have no doubt about it.
The fishing trip. Okay, not the race, but on the fishing trip.
Well,
by the way,
hopefully I blow right by her during the race, which then spoils my fishing trip.
Oh.
I do have a quick update to provide you guys with. I know I mentioned, I guess it's been about 3 weeks now since I ordered my Chase Elliott gear from NASCAR.com. So I went back, finally did some research through my email today. And someone in Chicago at my old apartment building got themselves a nice package because I accidentally mailed that thing back to Chicago. I no longer live in Chicago. So there is a new Chase Elliott fan in Chicago due to yours truly. So
hey, you just need to call those guys. I'll swing down there on the lunch break and then get me some new Chase Elliott gear.
There you go. I'll be like, give it to this guy.
Well, we'll have to hook you up with some new goodies. I've in packing and unpacking all my junk. I found some goodies that may have to send a little swag bag out to both you guys.
There we go. All right, so let's get into Martinsville, shall we? Tell us what we need to know.
Let's do it. So everyone's been dropping nuggets throughout, just some race facts and track facts. We'll just reiterate those really quick. So Martinsville, like Levy said, shortest track on the series, on the schedule. It is the paperclip. It is a little bit over a half a mile, just shy of Bristol's length, but is a very famous track, not only known for how unique it is, but also its trophy. So as a grandfather clock is the very unique trophy for this venue. And again, a lot of beating and banging, short tracks under the lights. Expect a lot more hurt feelings, and expect some of those tempers that we've seen to flare a bit over the past few weeks to really bubble up and bubble over. And the thing is at Martinsville is, even if one person gets into someone's bumper, odds are it's going to be a multi-car crash because of how small and confined that those turns and the straightaways are. So look for a little bit of overflow of tempers to impact others' day, and we're really going to be trying to dodge and bob and weave around those spinning cars.
Quick question: is there a monkey knife fight line for more or less punches thrown between Chase Elliott and Joey Logano for this one?
Not yet, but we need to get Levy to send off a text, and we'll probably see it up in the morning.
I know, right? I wish, man. I was high on both of them again last week. Hey, they both showed with the top 10. I'm curious to see what they're doing. I hope they're trading some paint out there this weekend.
Well, considering the last short track experience here, I would be ventured to say that they will be on top of each other, and I hope there's some fist thrown at the end of it.
Yeah, there's been
from Chase to Joey, because I want my guy on top.
There's going to be a lot of action. I would not be surprised. And it's funny that we've come to this point now with Chase and Logano at this track specifically. A couple years ago, Bucky's guy, Kenseth, in his last full-time scheduled year, he was wrecked a race before Martinsville. I think it was 2017, by Joey Logano for the win. Coming into the following race at Martinsville, Kenseth is wrecked out. He's beat up. He comes back onto the track, drags the gas or drags the brake in an attempt to get closer to Logano and just dive bombs him as he's leading the race. So Logano has a history here. Logano is someone who a lot of people love to hate. Like I said, he's kind of the new Kyle Busch to a degree. And also, Hamlin has wrecked Chase Elliott here while he was leading the race in his rookie season. So there's a lot of Chase Elliott and Logano stuff swirling around, not only between themselves, but at this track in general. So I'm looking for a lot of vent fenders, a lot of hurt feelings, and that always results in a lot of entertainment and a lot of entertaining racing.
Especially Wednesday night under the lights, Martinsville. Everyone loves rural Virginia.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Lord knows I do.
It was actually one of the first tracks that I went to after spending a lot of years in the South Carolina area going to Darlington. So it was a great track to go to. There's no shortage of racing. When we look at the race this past week in Atlanta, you saw the cars get very stretched out and there's gaps. At Martinsville, you don't have any time to wait. You're always bumper to bumper with someone. There's always cars going laps down. You can't just get out in front and cruise. It's a much more tight, close track.
So again, pain, not pain relief.
Right. I was
a lot of it.
I was looking through some historical data here. It looks like Kez has won here a few times recently. Truex last year, Logano, Kyle Busch a couple times, Denny Hamlin a few times. Who are, and I guess to correlate that to the favorites, the odds to win, Kyle Busch is actually the favorite at plus 400, Keselowski plus 550, Truex plus 650, Chase plus 700, Denny plus 700, Logano plus 800, Harvick plus 1,000. So who do we like?
It's going to really burn me to say this, and Buck is going to get his hat rodeo ready to rock and roll, but Logano is someone that I'm looking to take a W here, because if you look at the short track earlier this year, as my dog's going crazy in the background, if you guys can hear, I'm sorry.
He heard you mention Logano.
He did. He's not happy. But Logano and Keselowski both were up front late at Bristol. Again, it doesn't matter how they got there. They were in the top 5 in the waning laps. They did something right. They have something there. So that short track package that we saw at Penske, at Hendrick, they're both strong. And really what's important about that is having a very strong brake package, but also having that drive off the corner. If anything, the strengths at Bristol will give them more strengths at Martinsville because of the lower average speed. They're going to have a lot more drive off, a lot more bite out of the middle of the corner. And that center of the straightaway speed is really what's going to make a difference when it comes to the race tomorrow night. So I like Logano. It hurts to say it. I think Kez is another good bet, and especially with Logano at 7 or 800.
800
plus 7 or 8 to win. That's a good bet.
Yeah, plus 800. I mean, that's great value.
Well, and what, he's starting third?
What does he start?
Joey Logano started third. Yeah.
3. Yeah.
So he's going to start on the inside of the second row, which is huge. Look for the even positions 4, 6, 8, and 10 to fall back 4 to 6 positions right out of the gate, because much like the last few races that we've been watching, there's a preferred groove, and at Martinsville it's the inside for a large majority of the race, because it takes a lot of time for that groove to be rubbered in. You'll see like a 1.5 or a 1 3/4 groove come in, but individuals starting on the outside will not have the preferred lane unless their teammate is starting to the inside of them and they have a little bit of collusion. So inside is preferred here. I'm going to definitely go with Blaney to get some early initial points in a lot of DFS lineups, because he is starting first. He has that inside groove, and we'll take a few laps early under his belt.
All right, I dig that. So you got Blaney as a guy if you're playing in the DraftKings of the world that you like. What are some of the other guys that you like, kind of off the cuff there?
Yeah, to win, I'm thinking of Boyer. He finished second at Bristol. He has had a lot of strength. His team is hitting its stride. And I really think this is going to be one of the most even races when it comes to manufacturer. We've been trying to hit it on the nose with which manufacturer is going to do what. And in the past couple of weeks, or in the past week, the past couple of races, it's been a little bit of a crapshoot. We've seen comers, we've seen goers. I think that the manufacturers will be pretty evenly matched, but expect there to be a lot more comers and goers because of the new aero package. And I think the teams like Stewart Haas Racing, like Penske, will be able to battle that adversity. I think a Boyer presents good value on a win bet, but also in a lot of DFS lineups as well.
And Boyer's won here before.
Yeah. He ended his dry spell here a few years ago in the exact same car. So, Boyer and Newman, I think, are really strong plays for, the middle meat, if you will, of that DFS lineup. But someone that I think I'm going to get a laugh out of here from both of you guys, we have Ricky Stenhouse, that is someone who is either wrecking or getting wrecked. And then his teammate, Ryan Preece. They're both from JTG Doherty, and that program has a very strong short track and super speedway program. So, Jimmy Johnson crashed in-house at Bristol. He had a good race going. These are two guys that I'm going to look at to potentially differentiate me from my competitors on DFS platforms and put them as some of my middle meat, if you will.
I dig that for sure.
I'm curious to know your thoughts on Almirola here, because he's been a man starting consistently towards the top, looking very good, but never really looking threatening to that number one spot. So I'm just curious how you think if it's going to be the same old from what we've seen recently from Almirola, because he's, this is a different conversation than the qualifying, but he keeps getting these number two starting spots and not doing anything with them.
Yep. And I think this goes back to who's on top of the pit box, who the crew chief is, who these individuals who are helping to guide these decisions. You look at a Kevin Harvick, you look at an Almirola, you look at Boyer and Custer. They're all in similar equipment through SHR. So with Stewart Haas, they have something similar, but it has shown that Harvick and Boyer are the clear front runners in that stable from being able to keep up with the track, while there's been some intangibles like crashes and flat tires that have really ruined their days a couple times this year already. Those two and Harvick and Boyer are showing that they have the strength to really maintain their position. Eric Almirola shows that he is able to get the random draw and benefit from being up front, but he quickly falls, and you don't hear him mention much after, Eric Almirola starting second.
Right.
Oh, Eric Almirola is already fallen to 7th place. Oh shit, well he's 15th, and you don't hear from him the rest of the day. Like, that's just how it seems to be for Eric Almirola for the past few years.
Gosh, it's kind of frustrating because I feel like it's so tempting with the starting position, but what we've seen the last 4 races, 20th, I believe 29th, 17th, I mean, it just has not been there for the man.
And starting top 5 almost every single go, I believe. Like, I don't even think he's had any laps led, and that's even more painful. So, something's got to give. He's one of those fringe drivers at SHR who I'm not sure about his current status with a contract, but he's someone I think that could be bumped for an up and coming driver in the very near future.
Like a Cliff Hamstake III.
Yeah,
Hamstake III is on the rise.
I kind of got my eye on Denny Hamlin. He's won here 4 or 5 times, so I feel like I kind of learned my lesson with historical data after Atlanta and Harvick there. I still feel like Denny's been racing pretty well. Again, he's like a perennial top 10 finisher, pretty much no matter what.
Yep. Him and Kevin are kind of in that same group together, right? They're always finding a way to finish top 10. If they're not getting the W, they're popping their heads up even after having quiet days. So this is a home track, a hometown area for Denny. He's gotten a lot of W's here. He has a lot of success in this area and will have a lot of support. So you can never go wrong with Denny, especially on the hot streak he's on right now.
I'll tell you what, though, the line is certainly moving for Kyle Busch. Because I know when you had originally, it's moving higher. So when you had originally taken a look at the Monkey Knife Fight contest for Wednesday, so keep in mind, if you've never played Monkey Knife Fight and you want to get in, if you're listening to this on Tuesday night, don't wait till Wednesday to get him in, because when we recorded last week on Saturday, by the time Sunday morning came out, they had different players in there because we're line movers over here. We are moving the line based on our opinions here. So Kyle Busch is all the way up to 21.5 fantasy points.
Yikes.
And earlier in the day,
he was 20.5 30 minutes ago.
Exactly. So for whatever reason, Busch as a favorite is continuing to move. Any insight on that?
It's another one of those things. I think people had a realization, much like you did a few minutes ago, where we were trying to go against the grain and pick some individuals who are middle of the pack who could steal a win, because it's been very chalky, right? We have a lot of individuals who are winning who we expect to win, like Bucky called out last week. And I think we were all hoping to see a little bit of difference, or a little bit of a shakeup amongst the top. Now, historical tracks, may that be Bristol, may that be Martinsville, or even a Phoenix. They're just good guys to fall back onto. I don't think that Kyle Busch is going to be a front runner come to the end of the race. There's just too many things working against him, and I think too many hurt feelings for him to win this cleanly. If you find Chase Elliott behind you with 3 to 5 laps to go, I don't want to have any money on any of those drivers, no matter who it is. And I think he's going to be at the front most of the race. If he's not leading with 10 laps to go, he'll find his way up there some way. I just don't want to be in his mayhem wrecking path.
Also, 21.5 is huge, considering, sure, there are more laps here compared to that of Atlanta, but in Atlanta, you also had kind of that built-in space surrounding the front of the pack and the rest of the pack, and that just lent itself to having Harvick lead the entire time, and he has all the points accumulated. I don't expect to see that. I think it's going to be a lot more like Bristol, where people are trading places up there at the top. I wouldn't be surprised to have 4, 5, 6 different leaders during this race.
Yep. Yeah. And I think even more than that too.
Yeah.
Because in the current state that we are, with the new aero package, with the new tires, with a new time to race and under the lights at Martinsville for the first time ever, there's so many elements in this race that we don't know. And what that's going to create is a lot of comers and goers. And I think that's going to be the theme of the race. The person who leads the first 50 laps isn't going to lead the last 50 laps. The person who's leading at halfway likely will not win the race. There are so many plays on strategy here that, your head's going to be spinning. 2 tires, 4 tires, gas only. This racetrack, cautions breed cautions. So if you take a gas only early and are able to catch a caution and get 4 tires and get back on, the same sequence as the leaders, there's an easy way to leapfrog a lot of drivers. So
sure,
expect that to happen.
Yeah. I'm super excited to watch short track again. I love lapped cars getting in the mix and being all over the mix. Oh Lord. There's just something about this guy putzing along at 140, or I guess on a track like this. What's the max speed out there?
120, 130. And
120, 130
on the brakes.
Yeah, and you got that guy putzing around at 98, and he's just right in the middle lane. I love seeing that split happen.
You're going to see it even more here.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Victor, thanks for joining us as always, man. He's all bets on Denny. I'm always team Denny. So I mean, in a guy at what did I say, plus 700 to win, I think that's great odds. For me, I'm always gonna certainly root for Chase Elliott, but if I'm gonna look at historical data here, I think Denny is my guy. I know it's been several years since he won here. Kez has won twice more recently here. But Denny historically has done well at this track for sure. I'm excited in terms of strategy though, Freeman. I love a good lead changing or several lead changes in a race. So I think it's just much more entertaining. So I'm curious to see how you tweak your monkey knife fight strategy. Shall we get into to see what the numbers are looking like here on Tuesday night?
I just had one observation before we get into that. Am I the only one terrified it's going to be Keselowski playing it safe the entire time, just drifting, and snaking this one again?
If he's anywhere in the top 5 and Chase is in front of him, Chase will trailblaze for him, crash everyone, and Kes will win. I think, again, when you're thinking of a top 3 winners, if you want to chalk it up, you go with Elliott. If you want to mix it up a bit, I think Keselowski and Boyer are 3 different levels of confidence wins that have their value when it comes to lines. They all have reasonable viability to play them this weekend.
I just feel like Keselowski's not that exciting. I've never met a Keselowski fan. Does he have a lot of fans out there or what?
He just lulls people to sleep, man. He's the wily veteran. He's won a championship. He's won a lot of races. He's one of those guys just who knows where to put his car win to maybe not have the best car, but have the best chance to win. So it's hard to bet against him at the moment. He's definitely someone that I think presents some good value along with Denny Hamlin and a couple other folks.
Yeah, he's basically just Uncle Brad now. Like Uncle Brad shows up and he has the same store-bought macaroni salad that he brought over for the barbecue. Never spices it up with like some lollipop lamb chops or anything like that. Like he just comes in with the macaroni salad. It comes every time, but it delivers.
It
It
does.
definitely hits. Like it's one of those good ones.
Yes.
And he's kind of becoming the Mark Martin of the new era of NASCAR, the Rusty Wallace. Some of these, older guard guys who just stuck around and were consistent. I see Keselowski being a consistent driver for the foreseeable future, even if it is with Penske next year or a new team.
I love it, man. All right. So if you've never joined us on Monkey Knife Fight before, make sure you're using code FOCUSED when you deposit. If you deposit 50, you'll get $50 back in a deposit bonus, or you can follow the link in the description as well. So it is based. Wow. Kyle Busch is all the way up to 22.5.
Yikes.
So it keeps climbing. They're watching us live. The points curators on Monkey Knife Fight here must be watching live because it just keeps going up. It is going up and up.
What
and
do
up.
they know that we do not know? I'm Googling everything right now.
Something's going on. Chase is fixing to win this race, or not Chase. I'm looking at Chase Elliott, but I mean Kyle.
It seems like it, man. The public's money is just going to Kyle Busch and hell in a handbasket here. I think they're going to be losing it if this keeps climbing, because at 20.5, I think from our notes, I was less, correct?
Yeah, you were already on the less for Busch.
Yeah. This makes me more confident.
Yeah. So I mean, think about it. If we're talking about lead changes here, and fantasy points are defined as a lap led only gets you a 1/10 of a point, right?
Yep.
So keep that in mind. If there's a lot of lap changes or a lot of lead changes, I should say, these guys are going to have to accumulate points by winning, basically. First place is only getting you 20 points. Second place, 19, third, 18, all the way down to 20th, which will get you 1 point. So keep that in mind. Again, it's a 1/10 of a point for a lap led, and then you're getting points for where you finish. So right now, we have Kyle Busch at 22.5 points. That's like the highest I've ever seen it on this site. And Chase is down there at 18.5. So my immediate gut instinct here is telling me to take less on Busch and more on Elliott, but give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know what the public knows that we don't. When I look at the starting lineup, of course, he's starting 7th. He's in an odd number. He will start on the inside lane. So he'll be, 4th or 5th by the time, they come back around after the first or second lap. I just don't see that as being the advantage compared to some of the other drivers out there. So, as this number climbs, really what they're saying is how many laps will Busch lead? It's not a matter of if he's going to win or not. He's going to win the race, but is he going to lead, X amount of laps? So that's a little bit too confident for me. I don't think that that's 30 laps plus a W. That's a tall ask to go out on a Wednesday night and do, no matter what track, no matter what series. But I just have not seen it from Kyle Busch to think that this will be his score.
Are we getting which car are we getting tomorrow with Kyle Busch? I need to know before I weigh in.
Let's see.
Is it Skittles?
I can double check for you.
It's either Skittles or peanuts, baby.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't say on the starting lineup I have. So let's assume it's not fudge. So you're gonna love him.
All right, I'm gonna make a proclamation here. If Kyle Busch is driving the peanut M&Ms, yellow beauty, I'm gonna say he's over 22.5. Any other skin? No, not happening.
I feel like he hasn't been rocking the yellow at all lately, and that's why he's not winning.
Yeah, too much special chocolate, right? Like he needs to go back to basics. He needs to get in his yellow 18 machine and wrap up some W's. I think the car looks faster when it's yellow. To be honest with you, Bucky, I don't think you're not wrong. That purple car just looks soft. Nothing against fudge and M&Ms and fudge M&M brownies, but man, the yellow one just looks a lot quicker.
Well, I'm used to watching Joey Logano just blasting by fools, rocking his yellow. So
yeah, after he runs into the wall, yeah, I don't think he's gonna have too much success here this weekend. Someone's gonna get the shit into the stick, and I think the stick giver is gonna be Elliott, and it's a matter of if we're going to get Bush or Hamlin or Logano in the wall.
Freeman, I have a question. This is off topic. Is your dog performing a tap dance routine
He is
in
he's
whichever room
walking.
you're
He
currently in?
continues to walk around the apartment and clip his nails on the hardwood floor. It's very annoying.
I love it. He just walks in circles all day.
Yeah, he's making
Yeah.
sure we're here. He's like a sheepdog herding everyone. He makes sure that Jess is okay in the living room, and he walks back here
Yeah.
and says, "What's up?"
It sounds like he's doing P90X for Christ's sake.
I love it. All right, so we're gonna move on to a more or less 3 out of 4 here. These are historically easier.
Yeah.
So you get 2.5x your buy-in for getting 3 out of 4. So we're gonna stay less than 22.5 on Kyle Busch.
Yep.
We're gonna stay more on Chase, correct? 18.5.
I'm fine with that. He's been the best overall racer aside from what we watch Harvick do.
Yeah,
So-
just consistent, man. That's it's easier to take the over or more, I should say, on a guy like Chase. But I'm curious to get your point of view, Alex, on Truex Jr., who is starting in the 5 hole at 17.5 points. You like the more or less?
This is a hard one. Again, we've been teased with Truex at 16.5 the past few weekends and the past few races. This is between Truex and Logano. This 3 out of 4, more or less, is really something that I'm going to play 2 or 3 different times. So on my first pass, I'm going to give Truex more, and I'm going to give Logano more.
Okay.
So I expect Logano and or Truex to lead a good amount of the race, like a reasonable amount, 50 to 60 laps. And if I'm going to look at this lineup here, this would be my heaviest bet. And then on my second go around, I may use a very similar lineup, but flip for Logano at half the value, just to get a peek into kind of my reasoning on hedging some of these bets here.
Okay. I like that for sure. I mean, Truex won here last year. I think people are forgetting that.
Yeah, a lot of people. Truex has been so quiet, man, and he just, he's had a good handling car, but he has not had the speed of his teammates, even showing that hand. So something will give for Truex. I think again, with his crew chief leaving after last year, there's been a little bit of a slower get up into the second half of this year post COVID. But look for him to really rise with his teammates like Hamlin and Busch, because they've been up front a lot of the races.
Bucky, any additional thoughts?
No, I listen to the master. That's what I do.
All right, so we're gonna do a rapid fire in here as well. We're gonna go. What are we doing? 2 out of 3? No, 2 out of 2. What are we thinking here, Freeman?
Yeah, the rapid fire that I looked at here recently was Kez and Hamlin. It was 2 out of 2. See if that one's still up. Things have been changing a lot.
Man, they got all sorts of rapid fires on here now. It looks like they only got 3 out of 3.
No,
Okay,
keep
well,
looking. These are just newly added.
Man, just in the flesh, live adding. All right, here we go. So this one's actually Busch and Elliott and Truex and Logano. I think the one that you originally that had Hamlin is gone. It has disappeared.
Got it.
It was too easy.
Let's dive into this one then. So I think even the difference here is only going to increase, right? With the money and the lines going to Busch, I think Elliott's this line could continue to grow over the next couple of hours. I would go ahead and lock Elliott in here.
This is insane.
Busch. It's ridiculous.
4.5 points.
That's a lot. I hope that Busch just gets a flat tire right into it and just ruins everyone's day on Monkey Knife Fight.
Don't we all?
Well, if you're watching this live, if you're one of the 10 people or so that's watching live right now, you should be on Monkey Knife Fight getting in on this, because take Chase plus 4.5.
Yeah, these numbers, man. And then when I'm looking at the second matchup, this is a hard one again. I think Logano is going to outperform Truex when it comes to the finish line, but it's a matter of who's going to come, who's going to go, and who's going to lead those laps in between. Even though is that a half-point differential?
Half-point differential. Yep.
That's not really much in the grand scheme of things. That's 5 laps, not even a full finishing position. I feel like I'm going to go with Logano on this one straight up.
I'm going with Joseph.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think he is due, and short track here.
Agreed. And again, he's been leading. He was leading at Bristol late. He's come really close to winning a Martinsville before. His team and teammates have done well in the past. So I look for that machine to get her done, or get close to getting her done on Wednesday tomorrow.
I love it.
Levy sack of donuts.
Yeah,
here it is.
I know this is not on the agenda, but obviously we have to take this shot every single week, every single episode. So if you haven't heard of the Levy sack of donuts, bag of donuts, whatever you want to call it, you get 5 out of 5 right here in terms of more or less, and you win 12x your buy-in. That's incredible. Put down $100, win yourself 1,200. It's that easy.
That's a pretty penny. How are you gonna win it this week? We have a couple of picks that are kind of pre-existing. We've already talked about them. Do you want to mix it up, or are you gonna stay true?
So I've been talking my boy Denny up, and I know Victor out there loves Denny. So I'm gonna start at the back of the pack here in terms of the breakdown. So I'm going to take more on Denny Hamlin. I am sticking with the historical data here. So I'm gonna stick with more than 17.5 points for Denny. I believe he's starting in the 12 hole. He's just a top 10 guy. I think he's going to lead some laps when all is said and done. And I think he's going to have a top 3 finish. So I'm going to go more for Denny Hamlin. I'm going to bounce back around here. I'm going to go back up to the front of the pack. 22.5 is just too high for me.
That's
yeah, I mean, if we're talking lead changes here, there's just no way in hell that he's going to get that. So for that reason, I will also take more in Chase Elliott, because I just believe in Chase. I will take the more every single time, unless it's 22.5 for Chase.
Get a room, Levy.
This is where it gets dicey for me. I have no idea what to do with Truex and Logano.
They're hard, and just to kind of break down the reasoning here, I don't think we can pick both of those at more, considering that we already have Chase and Hamlin at more. If I had a gun to my head, I would say, again, Logano is going to finish higher than Truex outright at the end. And that makes me believe, he's a better fit for that over or more, and Truex a better fit for the less.
Truex he's been sleeping at the wheel lately, and I know he won here last year, but I agree. I would take Logano over Truex for sure.
Yep.
Well, I mean, similar starting positions here, so anything could technically happen. It could happen early, but chances are on Logano to get a better jump. And I think Logano's had, I wouldn't call him a faster car overall than Truex, because I think Truex has actually shown more raw speed, and the numbers might completely be different than what I'm seeing, but I see Logano's tighter, and Logano is more cutting when it counts in those crucial clutch moments where you need to get really groovy and figure some shit out on the fly. Logano's been a little bit more in tune with that than I've seen out of Truex when things get dicey. So it's going to be a really good shootout between the two of them. However, I think just starting third over starting fifth. I mean, look, as a veteran, Cliff Hamstake the third on the truck series, at least, the get-offs can really mess you up. So, I mean, all of a sudden I'm in seventh. I could just scoot right up to 2 and then be right back down to 18 in the heartbeat. So
you got it.
It could happen to any of them. But how would you assess my assessment there of Logano versus Truex in their current form, Alex?
Oh, spot on. I think Logano can have the lead going into the second lap, because he's going to be right on Blaney's ass going into it, and he wants to lead, even though they're teammates. Logano always races for the win, races hard. He's going to have, like you said, the inside line. Between him and Blaney, I think they'll lead most of the race up until that competition caution. So get a couple points in the pocket nice and early.
Man.
Yeah, I'm good with going Logano more. And unfortunately, I love Martin Truex too. I have a lot of respect for that just person. I'll give him less.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. And Bucks, man, I got to tip the hat to you. You sound like a regular old Jeff Gordon out there on the microphone, just absolutely crushing the analysis.
I love this stuff, man. I can't even describe it.
He's dreaming about it.
I seriously, all I could think about last night in my dreams was how I would try to win the truck series, even though I was sitting in 18th place. But I'm in 10th, and I'm about to get booted from the final rounds of the playoffs. But hopefully, I get picked up by an Xfinity squad here in the off season.
There you
Keep
go.
on climbing, Cliff. I have faith.
Yep. One ham steak at a time is what my mom always told me.
That's right, man. Freeman, any last words of wisdom for the bettors / DFS players headed into Martinsville on Wednesday night under the lights?
Yeah, let's reiterate the sleepers. I think Boyer is one of my medium to long shots for a W here. He's someone who's due, someone who's gotten a W at Martinsville to end the streak, and he's in a very strong equipment with teammates leading the way. I think some of the mid-pack overachievers are going to be with JTG Doherty and Stenhouse and Priest. Look for those guys to be even long shot top 3, top 5 finishes, but also good middle of the pack meat for your DFS lineups.
I love it, man.
Eric Jones for me. Don't sleep on him.
Oh, he started 13th. He got the best position he could have possibly, considering his bracket. He's just been someone who's been around, right? And we keep talking about him. He just feels like someone who is due. And I think again, he is a good bet for the front heavy or your middle meat in a DFS lineup too.
It looks like Kyle is in the Fudge Brownie Toyota, by the way.
Oh, he is. Can we bet on less again?
Right.
Yeah, can we
All
like
units
double
on
down
less.
on all the lesses?
Yeah, can we just do a more or less 1 of 1 Kyle Busch less than what? It'll be 25 by the time we look at it again.
And you got Harvick rocking the Hunt Brothers pizza. I'm fading him too, man. I'm fading him.
They're going away from their norms. Dude. Bucky don't like.
Well, I understand it, but what I don't understand is the Fudge Brownie coming back out of retirement here.
Fudge, hey, they're paying the big bucks to get their name out there. I still haven't
seriously.
tried them.
Almirola is in the Smithfield Ham Ford.
Hey, just like you, he's a meat man.
He's
Ham steak.
You know what they say out there in the grocery streets? Nothing slaps like a Smithfield.
Is that what they said?
That's exactly what they say.
I love it.
Oh, man. It's been fun as always, gents. If this is your first time coming across our YouTube channel or our podcast, if you're listening to the audio format here on Wednesday morning, make sure you're subscribing, pressing the like button on the video and all that good stuff. Appreciate the support. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at BackOTPack. Also the same on Instagram. You can also find Fantasy Focus in all of our shows and products at Fantasy Focused. With an extra D on Twitter and just at Fantasy Focus on Instagram. Enjoy the race on Wednesday night at Martinsville. I am looking forward to it, and we will see you guys this weekend. Talk to you soon.
Nice seeing you guys. Let's go Martinsville.
Hey, new underdog here. I'm going with car number 66 here. Timmy Hill rocking the Crash Claims R.US Toyota.
$1,000 cash hand delivered if he gets a W.
Starting in 38th position.
Perfect.
Doesn't matter.
I just love Crash Claims R.us. So they got rid of the com. They got
Shell company.
They just went right around the com.
Someday there'll be a Fantasy Focused kid out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Timmy, you got it. See you guys later.
Timmy.
See
See
you
ya.
guys.